Hey, 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 welcome to day number 13 of 21 days of prayer for your business. You almost forgot your most important role, holding up the book.
I was thinking about being overexposed right here.
Oh my goodness.
But I'm not letting perfectionism
get in the way.
What was the name of that chapter?
Don't let our perfectionism weighs you down. Perfectionism weighs you down.
It's not weighing me down.
That's your uniquely...
Might be a little distracted, but it wouldn't not weighing me down.
We're having a hard time. We're having a hard time with words today.
We're just gonna roll with it.
We are, and that is showing that you are uniquely made because you care about the little details of the exposure. I'm just like, come on now, like press go, let's go. It's like, we've got to get the lighting correct. So anyway, if you haven't checked out those videos, you need to. Today, we are talking about surviving conflict.
Don't.
I was like, I feel like if anything's dramatic, we have got to insert that.
Sorry, I was looking at the exposure.
Oh my goodness. Are you guys totally sticking around? Are y'all getting anything out of these videos? I think it's good to have some laughter at the first of this because this is a topic that can be not a lot of fun to talk about, surviving conflict. Have you ever had any conflict in your life at all? If you are shaking your head no, could you please message me to Monique McLean at IneedToKnowWhatInTheWorldYou'reDoing.com. Like, how in the world have you not ever had any conflict in your life?
I think in the book you say you must be living on a deserted island by yourself.
With no form of mankind around. I think in some time in our videos that we've talked about is that, you know, like if you are living and breathing and you are dealing with people, like it's imperfect people dealing with imperfect people, which could be a totally recipe for disaster. And we discussed that in today's video, all about conflict and how if we are going to face it in life, and if it's just a given that we are going to face it, are you distracted? Let me tell you, y'all, we video these videos out on a piece of our land, and we sit up underneath these trees for shade, and our dogs, Great Pyrenees dogs, are out in front of us, and Jer is highly distracted
They're
today.
like, what are you doing?
The dogs are like, do we need to be concerned? Is there something going on? Okay, reel it back in, Monique. Stay focused the rest of the time. We're lasered in on you. Okay, so if we are going to face conflict, if conflict is going to happen in our life, how can we survive it? Because when conflict happens, I don't know about you, I have a tendency if I can like shut down. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just want to kind of hide in a hole. You think so? You don't think I do that?
I think you like bow up on conflict.
Really? I don't know, babe.
It depends on the conflict. The kind of conflict.
It depends on the kind of conflict. I think in regards to where I talk about in here of letting people down or letting others down or stuff like that that gets in my head, I tend to, when it's something that I'm opinionated about and somebody wants to kind of like.
Yeah, if you want to go full Karen at the grocery store, that could be it.
No, I will not do that. But like if I feel strongly about something and somebody wants to stand up against me, I'm probably going to voice my, like, I don't know, this is what I believe. But like if I ever get into a place to where I feel like I let somebody down or I've hurt somebody or I can tend to shrink back. I think so. Maybe he knows me better than I know myself. Maybe we need to have some conflict over this and hash it out and discuss it.
You know, I was thinking about that just a few minutes ago. We're going to have some conflict if you keep, just joking around.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so what do we do to overcome that and to push through it, to get out on the other side where we can keep moving forward? Because it can paralyze us and we can live in fear of even trying things or doing things or whatever because, like, what if this creates conflict? Or we've had conflict in the past revolving around this type of thing and I don't want to do it again. That kind of gets back into our freedom from our past videos. Some of these kind of intertwine. But conflict in general, I talk in the book that very few people wake up evil. Really and truly, very, very few people wake up evil. We'll kind of have a joke every once in a while and I'm like, well, I don't know. I think this person wakes up evil. But Honestly, very few people wake up evil. They really just want to be better than they were the day before when they wake up. The thing is they have a backstory. They have a past. They have hurts. They have things that they've gone through, and they filter their decisions and their actions and everything through these things that have happened before. Let me give you a good example. I don't know, I talk about this in the book. I don't know if you've ever watched Disney's Pixar Up, the movie Up. If you want to, if you've never seen it, I'm going to give you some spoiler alerts. If you are an anti-Disney person, it's going to be okay. Just disregard, mute what I say. I'm going to tell the story anyway. All right. Okay. Disney Pixar Up. They rip your heart out in the opening scene. Okay.
And dance on it.
Yeah. They rip it out, throw it on the ground as hard as they can, and then they dance all over it. It's horrible.
Pretty much every Pixar movie will do that. But this one's especially bad.
This one, I remember sitting in the movie theater and going, what is going on? In the first 5 minutes, I'm sobbing. Like I haven't even built a relationship with this movie, and in the first 5 minutes, they have destroyed my life and my day, and with some animated characters. But I believe their names were Carl and Ellie. Is that what they were?
Mm-hmm.
And at the beginning, we see this cute little kids start playing with each other. And then they grow up a little bit and they start liking each other. And then they get married. And they go and they move into their first house and they put a handprint on the mailbox. And they're living out their little newlywed years. And then she gets pregnant and we see that she loses the baby. And they carry on with their life, and they've got dreams of traveling and doing all of this stuff, and one thing leads to another, and something happens in the home, as it always does. A roof leaks, a pipe breaks.
They keep breaking the piggy bank over and over again.
And then they take that money out, and they go and they fix the problem, and they live life. And one day they're trekking up a hill to have a picnic, and you can tell Ellie's getting a little tired. There's something the matter with her. And the next scene, you see Ellie laying in a bed. Carl's over there taking care of her. And the next thing, Ellie's dead.
First 5 minutes.
What
maybe
just
10
happened?
minutes. Maybe 10 minutes.
Literally what just happened. It's horrible. And the rest of the story is all about Mr. Fredricksen. Carl Fredricksen, and he's this grumpy old man. He is so grumpy. He is grumpy and doesn't want to be around anybody. And his little home that him and Ellie built and lived in and lived this happy life that hold all the memories, all of this constructionist stuff is building up all around it. High rises going up, all of this, and they're wanting his property, right? But this property is the memories that he holds with his wife that is now gone. Not only does he have this that he's facing, he also feels like he has let Ellie down, because their whole life, all she wanted to do was go on this adventure, and they saved up money, and he feels like he never got to take her on this adventure before she passed away. So he's kind of got this guilt on top of all of this hurt that she's not there. And the story progresses, and one day all of this construction is going on, and a truck backs up and hits the mailbox with their handprint. And Mr. Fredricksen is so upset, and he walks outside, and he takes his cane, and he whops it across the guy's head, and he starts bleeding. And everybody stops, and they're looking at him like, what did you do? I almost can start crying talking about it. And immediately you can see Mr. Fredricksen's face. It almost like he sinks back and he realizes, what did I just do? I just hurt this person. And he kind of stumbles his way back inside. And in that moment when I saw that, I realized, why do we feel so much compassion? And why does that make me want to bust out and cry when I see what just happened? It's because I knew the backstory of Mr. Fredricksen. I understand that he loved someone deeply and that he was hurt. I understand that he felt like he let someone down, and he's walking through this hurt and this pain. Nobody else understands that. They just see a grumpy old man. But we see the bigger picture because they've let us have a glimpse into his world. And I think that is a good representation of what we deal with every single day. We deal with grumpy, upset, mean people. They're so mean. And we think, good grief, what is your ever-loving deal? And we have no compassion for them, but we have no clue what they went through that day, what they went through last week, what they went through last month, the last decade, the last 40, 50 years of their life. We have no clue. And and we filter everything through what we just see right there in that moment. Do you have anything you want to say on that?
I think that's where you say in the book that, like, hurting people hurt people.
Yes. You have to say.
That's it.
Oh, I love that we are mixing laughter in with a hard topic. Yeah, I mean, it is. I say it in the book. It's where you hear that hurting people hurt people. And it really is true. It's not just a cliche. And what I have discovered through the years in revolving around conflict is there's two sides of it. There's two sides of it. I mean, Mr. Fredrickson hurt that person, but he was hurting that guy, the construction, all this stuff, it was hurting him too. And we've got to understand that. I know in the history of my life, anytime there's been conflict, it's not just one-sided. I have a role that I play in it. Probably 99% of the time, it's a two-way street. If we've got a conflict, I'd like to say it's all Jeremiah. Like, he just needs to get his act together. But if the truth be told, there's probably like a 2% chance that it's me. Just kidding.
99.2%.
99.2%. But seriously, like, usually there's two sides to every story. Also, through the years, I've heard tons of people come to me and go, sharing kind of their woes and the things that they're going through. But you have to even understand when you're hearing that, can you see both sides of it? I had a friend recently talking to me about some things that she was going through with one of her children. And, I was like, okay, here's the deal. I can see both sides. Like, because I've walked through this and I've kind of like a couple of years ahead of you, I can see your side, but I can also see her side. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, bring that to the table of, like, it doesn't mean that you're wrong or they're wrong. It just means there's two sides to it. And can we understand kind of where the push and the pull is coming from? It's because you're both kind of trying to filter it through the season and the transition that you're at right now. We recently, about a couple of years ago, left a business that was extremely relational driven. And we had a lot of fallout. I mean, like, super, super nasty verbal blah, 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 all on social media. And, honestly, it was hurtful. It was hurtful. I mean, anytime words are spoken, it's hurtful. I think a few things that hurt me the most that I had a harder time getting through was, one, the fact that I felt like I let people down. And then also knowing that my departure from something probably did hurt people. And I think, a lot of people would come to me, they have no right to say this. They shouldn't be saying this about you. These people are horrible. And I'm like, no, actually, like, I can understand that this was hurtful. Like, I actually could see my actions, what I played in it was hurtful. And I think we just have to understand that as we're processing things. I could understand that their words were coming from a place of hurt. It could be, I don't even know if some people deal with, abandonment, maybe a parent who left them or some situations like that can really affect a person to where when somebody leaves like that, they're taking it super personal and relating it to that situation. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So I would ask you to think a little bit. If you don't have a journal, if this is your first video that you've watched, I beg of you to grab a notebook and pen and journal through the things, because through these videos, we're sharing a lot of our stories of the things that we've walked through and how we've processed these topics each day. But where this study, whether you have the book or not, is going to be beneficial to you is to apply it to your own life. Not just to hear our stories, because our stories are our stories. We want you to relate it to you. So I would ask you in your journal, think about the times, if there's been any, of where conflict has come to the table, and can you see two sides? Is there a way that you can glimpse in and go, maybe this is the reason? Because we give ourselves more grace than we want to give other people. We can justify, well, I did this because, and everybody should be okay with me doing this because this is my side of the story. But can we stop for a second and apply that same grace that we're wanting to give to ourselves to them?
Yeah, another way to say that is, and I really like this one, is we tend to judge other people on their actions, and we judge ourselves based on our intentions.
That is so good. You need to write that down.
And so...
Say that again.
We tend to judge other people on their actions, and we judge ourselves based on our intentions. And so I guess kind of the first rule is to have some empathy.
Yes.
Try to put yourself in the other person's shoes. And I've kind of been thinking like, how do you relate this to business per se? Because the books, it's easy to relate this one to life.
Right, right.
So how do you?
In business, you deal with people every day.
A lot, yeah. There's a potential for a lot of conflict. Unhappy customers, or a lot of times or even in, this is not business related, but like somebody cutting you off in traffic, and you'll say, well, maybe they just found out their husband had cancer or something, like,
or maybe they're rushing to the hospital to get somewhere. Like we say that all the time.
Yeah, so I think it's important, to try to put yourself in the other person's shoes and judge them based on their intentions, whatever those are.
Distractions are going to keep on coming. A little storm is coming through, so we might have a little pitter patter. It might This is epic. This is pretty much the most epically distracting video that we have done to date. Let's push through it. But no, I mean, it is so true. I don't even remember what you just said. Could you tell me like what the last thing you just said was?
I was talking about judging people based on their intentions instead of their actions, and trying to put yourself in their position.
Y'all.
Just keep going.
Just keep going. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Oh my word. Okay. So I would say, how can you apply this to where you are? And we can't let conflict stop us. It's just going to happen. You're going to go through a conflict. Could be in this season, and there could be a season down the road. I mean, it's just going to happen.
I was thinking about that, what you said about unless you're by yourself on a deserted island. I'm like, you could have conflict with a crab or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's potential for conflict everywhere.
Yeah, well, like right now, we're not even dealing with a person. We're having a conflict with Mother Nature.
Yeah, the rain.
The rain, it's like, okay, seriously? So I think on those things, and the biggest thing would just be to give yourself grace in the moment, but also, can we apply grace to other people? Because again, very, very, very few people wake up evil. Go ahead.
We've been in some situations in the past where people would say, look, well, what about this company? Blah, blah, blah. And I think the way we always chose to answer that is like, well, we're busy doing what we're doing. And so a lot of times, if you can concentrate on, what you're doing, and not I guess what I'm saying is that conflict can be a distraction.
Yes. Don't, and like we've always said in business, like just don't go badmouth another company. I mean, I don't get that right all the time. There's times I've probably ran my mouth, but I really try making that a rule of thumb. I'm not going to try growing my business by tearing another company down. Like, that's just gross. It really is gross.
Oh, and here comes some major rain.
Oh gosh, y'all, here comes some major rain. We're gonna push through it. I pray, Lord Jesus, let them hear our voices through this mic. This means the Lord is like, pull this together. Pull this together. Let me leave you with some verses. I'm talking really loud, and I might should have to talk this loud, but I feel like I'm talking really loud. So you might be having to turn your volume down.
We're going to go back to the playback, and we're like, you can't even hear the rain.
Yeah, they're going to be like, what rain? Are you making that up? John 13:34-35. A new command I give you, love one another as I have loved you. So you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. They say like love one another a million times in that verse. Matthew 22:37-39. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all of your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. And then finally, 1 John 2, 9-10. Anyone who claims to be in the light but hates a brother or sister is still in the darkness. Anyone who loves their brother and sister lives in the light, and there is nothing in them to make them stumble. I'm going to share this one last thing, and then I'll let Jeremiah end us out. One of the things that I realized over the last 10 years is when I faced some conflict. It's so loud, can you hear it? When I faced some conflict in business, there were some people who were just like kind of really nasty and in my face and sending some like really mean emails. It was like I couldn't figure it out. Like, what's your deal? Like, you know, really why are you, it was really coming from a place out of insecurity. And fast forward a few years and I leave the company, I'm getting this, you know, emails from these same people that are still mean and hurtful. And the thing that it comes to is that it was never really an issue with the person per se. There's like something, our battle is not against flesh and blood. I don't know why I don't have that verse in there. Our battle is not against flesh and blood. It's about so much more. It's almost like the spiritual component and the spiritual dynamic that's at war. It's like these hurts dealing with these hurts, these fears dealing with these fears. It really is not a person. It's not this person's being mean. It's this person's hurt is dealing with this person's fear. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And so we have to just understand that and not just be like, gosh, that person is horrible. No, they've just got some insecurities, and I bet you've got some insecurities too. I know I do. And that's usually when there's clashes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh my word! Jeremiah, close us out.
If you like this video, or
even despite the rain,
or if you just don't hate it, because it's pretty funny actually, give us a big thumbs up, and it would really help our channel if you would subscribe and maybe share with some friends. And if you're like me and you want to be in the know as soon as the video gets posted, hit that notification bell so that you can get alerted to all the notifications.
Man, one thing that we will do is share real life.
It's real life.
It's real life. Okay, tomorrow we are talking in our next video all about family and that family matters. I am praying that you could hear us and that we didn't blow out your eardrums from all of this. Okay, see ya!